Welcome to Rights and Democracy Get Out the Vote rally. It is my honor to introduce to you this evening Justice of the Peace and candidate for Barrytown House Representative Dottie Ricks. Before she comes out, I would like to tell you what sets her apart from the other candidates in this race. The responsibility of a public servant is to represent the people to the government, not represent the government to the people. Unfortunately, many elected officials overlook this solemn charge, and because of that, their will bends to those who have greater influence and power. To authentically represent the people, they must truly listen and understand and take to heart the issues of those they represent, not merely focusing on elevating their own agenda. That requires empathy. They must be audacious enough to speak out against those who would wish to intimidate them into accepting harmful policies, programs, and politicians on the pretext that they're institutions who could be threatened if challenged. Lastly, they are tenacious. They must be tenacious enough to not back down when they are asked to compromise the well-being of the citizens they represent and continue to work to benefit the lives of those people. I have never met a person who better embodies tenacity, empathy, and audacity than Dottie Ricks. When I first met her, she was a private citizen who was compelled to run for office because she looked around and saw that there were many voices that were being silenced in her district. It was empathy that drove her to knock on doors for hundreds of hours, trying to understand what the people in her district really needed and what she could do to effect change if she were elected. She had the audacity to run as a progressive Democrat in a largely Republican district against two male Republican incumbents in a district that had not been electing any female representatives in over 30 years. She was not put off, and she was not afraid of that challenge. She led the charge, calling the people to stand up, speak out, and fight back. Her tenacity and progressive policy won her an endorsement from Senator Bernie Sanders during his own presidential campaign. Though she may have lost the battle, she won the war against a policy, Act 46, that she had rallied against tirelessly, protecting the people from losing power to effect change in their own schools. Though the powers that be pressured her to let go of this, she refused to relinquish her fight and determinedly used her own funds to educate the people on this legislation and continued supporting their overwhelming wishes of rejecting Act 46. As a private citizen, she continues to march and volunteer and protest for causes that seek to bring justice to those in need of it. As a former school board member and current Justice of the Peace, she never hesitates to raise her voice in protection of those who would be marginalized by the policy at hand. As a friend, she's unflinchingly generous, considerate, and a fierce advocate. Certainly, she is a formidable force who I would be lucky to have in my corner if I ever needed. She is empathetic, audacious, and tenacious to the core. That is why Rights and Democracy and I are honored to introduce to you this evening Champion of the People, candidate for House Representative, Dottie Ricks.